The evening air was thick with an unsettling stillness, a weight that pressed down as I stumbled into bed. A feverish haze clouded my mind, each breath a struggle against the suffocating silence. Shadows seemed to stretch and twist along the walls, mocking my attempts at rational thought. As I drifted into a fitful sleep, the boundary between reality and nightmare blurred. I found myself in a vast, oppressive darkness, facing a presence I couldn't comprehend. It loomed large, a formless terror that radiated malice. My heart raced as I fought against it, each moment an eternity of dread. The harder I struggled, the more it tightened its grip, pulling me deeper into its suffocating embrace. I jolted awake, heart pounding, to find my head hanging off the side of the bed. The room was eerily quiet, the kind of silence that makes your skin crawl. Just as I tried to sit up, something unseen struck me with a force that sent shockwaves through my body. Panic surged as I felt an invisible weight pressing me down, cold and relentless. It was as if the darkness itself had come alive, wrapping around me with malevolent intent. My mind raced, struggling to comprehend the terror that surrounded me. In sheer desperation, I grasped for the only weapon I had, the Saint Benedict prayer. My voice trembled, barely a whisper, as I recited the words, each syllable a lifeline in the suffocating darkness. As I spoke, the oppressive force seemed to waver, its grip loosening. A chilling silence fell over the room, the air suddenly lighter, yet charged with an eerie stillness. I lay there, breathless and shaken, wondering if the nightmare had truly ended. Memories flooded back, vivid and terrifying. As a child, I often woke to shadows that danced with sinister intent, whispers echoing from unseen corners. I'd feel cold, spectral fingers brushing against my skin, leaving me paralyzed in my small bed. Those nights were marked by the same malevolent presence, lurking just beyond the veil of reality. It was as if something had attached itself to me, a dark companion shadowing my every step. The realization sent a shiver down my spine. This wasn't a new terror. It had always been with me, waiting for moments of vulnerability to strike. But now, as I lay in the stillness, a newfound resolve surged within me. I was no longer afraid. The darkness had lost its power over me. I had faced it and survived. The shadows that once haunted my nights were now mere echoes of a fear I refused to feel. To those who doubt, who scoff at my experiences, I say this: walk a mile in my nightmares before you judge. Call me crazy if you must, but remember, courage is born from confronting the unimaginable. The evening was perfect, a serene ride with my mother as the sun began its slow descent. We were cruising along the deserted streets, the motorcycle humming steadily beneath us. The air was crisp, carrying the gentle scent of twilight. As the sun dipped lower, the sky transformed into a canvas of vivid oranges and deep purples, painting a scene of unparalleled tranquility. The streets were eerily quiet, devoid of the usual hustle and bustle. It was just us and the gentle roar of the engine breaking the stillness. The soft breeze brushed against my face, adding to the sense of calm. The fading sunlight cast long, shifting shadows that danced along the empty road, enhancing the surreal beauty of the moment. But as we continued, the serenity was tinged with a growing sense of anticipation. The sky, once a breathtaking display of nature's artistry, seemed to shift in an almost imperceptible way. It was as if something unseen was lurking just beyond the edges of the dying light. The contrast between the peaceful, golden hues and the unsettling feeling that something was about to break this tranquility was almost palpable. Little did I know, this seemingly perfect evening would soon unravel into something I couldn't have prepared for. The peaceful sunset ride was about to reveal a horrifying secret, hidden within the fading daylight. As we rode through the encroaching twilight, I felt an inexplicable urge to glance upward. The sky, a swirling mix of fiery oranges and deepening blues, held my gaze. And then it happened. At first, it was subtle, a vague, shifting mass of color. But as I looked closer, I was struck by a bone-chilling realization. In the midst of the fading light, a face began to emerge from the sky, almost as if the clouds had conspired to manifest it. It wasn't just a shape or a blur, it was a face, clear, unmistakable, and hauntingly real. My heart pounded in my chest. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, and looked again, hoping it was just a trick of the light. But there it was, etched into the sky with unnerving clarity. The features were distinct, the high forehead, the sharp cheekbones, the eyes that seemed to follow us as we moved. It was the face of a man who had recently passed away, someone known in our town, a local celebrity whose death had left a void in the community. The resemblance was undeniable. This was no ordinary cloud formation. The face in the sky seemed almost alive, filled with an eerie presence that made my skin crawl. It was as if he was staring down at us from the heavens, his expression one of sorrow or perhaps something far more sinister. I couldn't shake the feeling that the sky was trying to communicate something dark and unsettling. The peaceful ride had turned into a nightmare, and the face in the sky was the chilling harbinger of the horrors that were to come. A surge of panic shot through me the moment I registered what I was seeing. My heart raced, and my breath came in short, uneven gasps. I told myself it was just an illusion, a trick of the fading light playing games with my tired eyes. But deep down, I knew it was something far more unsettling. I could hardly focus on the road as I fought to make sense of the horrifying image above us. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was an elaborate cloud formation or some kind of optical illusion. But the more I tried to convince myself, the more intense the fear became. The face was so clear, so disturbingly familiar, that it felt like a grotesque mockery of reality. Desperate for confirmation, I turned to my mother. My voice trembled as I pointed upwards. "Mom, look. Do you see that? Do you see the face in the sky?" Her eyes followed the direction of my trembling finger, and I saw her expression shift from curiosity to alarm. She stared at the sky, her face paling as she took in the same unnerving visage I had seen. Her hands gripped the handlebars tightly, knuckles white. "I see it," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Her fear was palpable, a stark contrast to the calm serenity of the sunset. What is that?" The confirmation from my mother only deepened the terror that gripped us both. We were no longer alone in this nightmare. The face in the sky was a shared, disturbing reality. The unease between us grew, feeding on itself, as we both realized that this was no mere trick of nature but something far more sinister. The once peaceful evening had become a suffocating void of dread, and the sky above seemed to loom with a malevolent presence. As we watched in horrified silence, the face in the sky began to shift and distort. What had once been a clear, recognizable visage now started to warp grotesquely. The features, initially sharp and familiar, blurred and twisted into something nightmarish. The eyes, once serene, now seemed to widen with an unsettling, predatory gleam. The mouth stretched into a twisted, agonized grimace, as though the face were trying to scream, but the sound was trapped in the void. The distortion was so unnatural that it felt like reality itself was unraveling. The face's once smooth contours became jagged and deformed, like a melting wax sculpture. Shadows deepened around its eyes, creating a depth that seemed to draw you in, whispering horrors you couldn't comprehend. Every moment that passed intensified the grotesque transformation, amplifying the dread that had already consumed us. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the face began to fade. The features slowly dissolved into the vast expanse of the sky, leaving behind a chilling emptiness. The fading image seemed to cling to the air, as if reluctant to disappear. It was like watching a ghostly specter retreat into the shadows, leaving us in a profound and oppressive silence. The sunset, once a brilliant canvas of orange and gold, now seemed tainted by the horrifying vision we had witnessed. The sky above was left with an eerie void, a stark contrast to the serene beauty it had once held. The silence that followed was oppressive and heavy, a cruel reminder of the unsettling encounter. The beauty of the evening had been forever marred by the grotesque apparition, leaving us with a lingering sense of dread that seemed to permeate the very air we breathed. The days following that horrific sunset ride felt like a blur of sleepless nights and restless days. Both my mother and I were haunted by what we had seen, and the memory of that face in the sky lingered with a chilling persistence. Sleep was elusive, and when it did come, it was plagued by nightmares of distorted faces and an endless, empty sky. Every time I closed my eyes, the grotesque features would reappear, twisting and writhing in the darkness. The sight of the sunset, once a symbol of peace and tranquility, became a harbinger of dread. I couldn't shake the feeling that something had been watching us, or worse, had followed us from that terrifying vision in the sky. The serenity of the evening had been shattered, leaving behind an oppressive silence that felt like it was filled with unspoken threats. The experience had a profound impact on my perception of reality. I found myself constantly questioning what was real and what was not, as if the line between the tangible world and the supernatural had been irreversibly blurred. The apparition seemed too vivid, too detailed to be dismissed as a mere trick of the light or a figment of imagination. It was as if something beyond our understanding had tried to make contact, and in doing so, had left a permanent scar on our reality. Even now, as I go about my daily life, there's an unsettling feeling that refuses to leave. I often catch myself looking over my shoulder, half expecting to see that grotesque face reappear in the sky or lurking in the shadows. The memory of that sunset ride has become a persistent shadow in my mind, a reminder that some things are beyond our comprehension and that the veil between our world and the unknown might be thinner than we ever imagined.